Hey, welcome to the program. Today is just a free-form chat. We'll talk about project updates and all the rest. How is it?
I did go over my portion of the stories, so I'm done with. I guess it's the last half of them. So it's just Heidi needs to look over the first half, and they're ready for you to.
Nice. Yeah. Oh, there's Heidi. I figured you guys were coming along with that stuff. I'll just rap about some things, project updates for me. I have been trying to use Claude as sort of a thinking assistant, a business manager in a sense. I pivoted off of using it for web development because I kind of came to the end of this round of changes I wanted to make to my website. And I've been pushing out pages dedicated to certain projects and kind of building out some of the content that's present on the site for, SEO purposes, but also just to test some ideas and then kind of see how I can make some adjustments over the next couple of months. So I haven't talked about this too much. I'll go a little bit into depth because I've kind of alluded to the value of some of this stuff over the last couple of months. But what I was able to do pretty rapidly over the course of a month is this month, is when I started doing it, is to raise the health of the website from like the mid 50s all the way up to 100%. And so like I'm using a tool to kind of monitor this stuff. And obviously like every tool to monitor this kind of thing is going to give you a slightly different report. But if you're getting up into the high 90s for any tool, I think that's probably good. What it also allows me to do is begin to kind of target and build out dedicated pages for keywords and things like that, and see if I begin to track on some of those additional keywords. And if I do, or if I don't, then I can kind of retarget some of that existing content, or then begin to build out additional posts and things like that build on that material and cross reference and stuff like that. And I'm tracking backlinks, and Jaji, your site comes up on there because I've got a link from you. I should do the same for you, and this is something that like over the next maybe 6 months, I'll look into building those backlink relationships, because it is a critical value for websites in terms of kind of evaluating their, not necessarily health, but their ranking in the broader web. So it is a valuable thing to do.
Yeah, that's cool. I haven't really been using my website much except to maintain the lists for both Superversive and the mail reading list.
Nice.
I mainly use Substack, but it's still there. I still have three websites, because I have the Superversive Inklings and the Superversive whatever. The St. Patrick School's website. And I also have I have a Wix website for Roanoke Academy that's actually, as if it's run by the school in my bugs.
Nice. Yeah, that's fun. In world. The last thing I've been using Claude for is, with some of this stuff, is basically just to micromanage myself on a daily basis. Like I said, an assistant to kind of report in the mornings and at night, like keeping a checklist of stuff and saying like, I did not finish this today. I don't know if I'll be able to do this tomorrow. Keep track of it during the week. If I don't get done with it this week, then it needs to kind of like go into the larger pool of stuff that I'm tracking over the next year, whether that's helpful or not, I don't know. We'll see. I've only kind of started doing that over the last week. So I've been giving it like also screenshots of like graphs and things like that I track in my spreadsheets, and just kind of giving it a little bit of data to chew on and give me some feedback. And again, like, some of its conclusions are the very same conclusions that I've reached. Wow, surprise, surprise, about things I need to be doing, But if you're using it to sort of like keep yourself honest, put your back against the wall and like make you stay up with that stuff and do it, then that's good. Now, in terms of writing, which is why we're here today, and what we're actually talking about now, we're trying to talk about web design and SEO and stuff. I have been making some progress. I am preparing my nonfiction paperback release, the manuscript for that. I finally printed it out today, in fact, and began to chop through everything that's there. It's a considerable amount of work right now, and to kind of make sense out of it, it's going to take me X number of months. I would like to get it out by November, early November. That also means doing the audiobook in October. The recording, at least, just to kind of brush up the last bit of the manuscript. So that will really need to be done by the end of September to hit all those deadlines. And like, these are things, again, to go back to using Claude to track and kind of monitor my progress on stuff, be an assistant, be a manager. It knows about this project too. And we've started to map out kind of like my milestone points, kind of where I need to be on that project by when, to make sure that I meet that deadline. And like, these are not things that I have problems with, but I wanted to think about some like overarching stuff that I'm working on and that I want to work on, and how to fit all those things together. And it might see some things that I don't, or it might, things might be more evident when you verbalize them, even if you're writing them to a machine. That might not otherwise be evident. So that I would say is like the thing I'm really kind of thinking about for the remainder of the year, and also trying to finish up the first round of editing to the audiobook that goes to For the Love of God. So that I want to get that first round of editing done by the end of this month. I have until this Friday to do it. So I've been using it to kind of track Claude, to track my progress on this project, because again, this thing, if I want to have this other stuff out in certain periods of time, well, then I really need to get this audiobook out and finished before this other stuff, so that it's off my plate and I can focus on the other things that need to get done. So that's, what I've been doing since the last time we had one of these sessions. It's like probably a bigger update and more in-depth, detailed update about like some craft stuff or my inner workings than I might normally do. But I felt like I've been spending a lot of time with it, so I wanted you guys to know or reflect or offer insight or maybe takeaways, whatever you could.
That sounds quite interesting. I mean, it's not something I've tried using the AIs for anything like that. So I don't have any, helpful advice, but I would love to hear like updates about how these things go for you.
It's definitely kind of new. I had a bunch of credits. I had like $50 in credits or whatever sitting. Oops, dropped my headphones. I had like $50 in credits, or however they kind of track it on this one platform. And I just thought that, like, gosh, I don't have anything else I want to do on this particular platform compared to other ones, just because kind of what it's for and what it specializes in and what it does and stuff. But I had Claude on there, and you could spin up chats, and like I said, I have a considerable number of credits on there. So I was using it to redesign the website. And then I was basically finishing that up, and I just have a ton of credits on there. And I was like, man, what else can I use these for? And that seemed like a logical application, is to kind of like, as I've talked about over the last couple of years, I've been collecting all this data on like book sales, video sales, my media work and stuff like that. I've started tracking podcast stuff across all networks and platforms, just to kind of see, what's happening there. And trying to get better at some of the data stuff against my personal brand, right? The constellation of projects that I think kind of personify me online or as a entity. So yeah, some of that's the reason why the website stuff is happening. There's additional maybe revision stuff that I would like to do on some of the projects that I have out, recursively, like the personal branding and content marketing stuff. I think it came out before AI kind of swept over everything. And I think that at the very least, it would benefit from more incorporation of those workflows and mentioning those lines of thinking in tandem with the kind of content focus inside of that stuff. I think I did do a revamp and mention it a little bit a couple of years ago, but I think that things are just so much further at this point that it's not good to lean on AI like to your own detriment of like your skills diminishing and you kind of like handing everything over to it and taking your hands off the wheel. But I think it is very good if you're using it like a bicycle to kind of make your mental acumen and your skills sharper by writing it in a sense. But yeah, what projects have you guys been working on? What updates do you have from the last 2 weeks since last time we did this space when we talked?
Well, as I mentioned right when we started, I finished going over the portion of the stories that I was reviewing. Heidi, it didn't work out the way I thought. I was like, oh, I'll do mine and you'll do yours. But yours was in the bottom ones anyway. So I ended up doing 5. If you want me to do one other story, let me know. But I did make the changes for my story. Other than that, I've mainly been editing. I'm really eager to move ahead with my... I do have one other thing. I got talked by fans into doing a Kickstarter coming up in probably late August to put together anthologies of my short stories from my unexpected enlightenment background. I actually can do 2 anthologies. One of them would be stories set at Roanoke Academy, of which at least 5 or 6 of them would not be written by me. I have 2 other authors who've written stories, and they've agreed to have their stories go into the anthology. And the other would be stories about Greater Sideria, the greater universe. Sideria is the name of the Sidereal universe in this background. I write these stories that are what I call the previous lives of all these people who were adults doing things before they were in a disaster, saved, turned into a kid, and put at Roanoke Academy. So I've been writing stories for years about what happened to them before they got brought to Roanoke. And I have enough to make a small anthology, but I thought that I could offer as stretch goals to write a few more. So I came up with some titles of possible previous live stories about some popular and some almost unknown characters that I could write stories about to go into the anthology, so to make it a little longer. And I explained when I put this out that I'm behind on writing, partially because I had to go back to editing because I needed to pay bills. And I was really touched that a number of people signed up for paid subscriptions because of that, which I hadn't asked them to, but they did, and it made a big difference to us this month. So I'm really, really grateful. But the idea is that I'm going to do a Kickstarter starting at like $250. I'm just looking for the money to typeset the two anthologies, and then I'll set some stretch goals for, if we reach 500 or 1,000 or 5,000 or whatever, that other stories will be made available. I have a story I've wrote for a previous Kickstarter just for one individual that has some super serious spoilers in it that I would not want to put in the anthology, but I thought I could make it a stretch goal thing so that, anybody who backed the Kickstarter if they wanted, they could personally have a copy of the story, and if they wanted to be familiar with the spoiler, they could read it, and they would have the option of not reading it if they didn't want to see the spoiler. So that's the new thing I'm going to do. We're going on vacation next week, so I will not be here. But when I come back, that's what I'm going to do is set up that Kickstarter so that I can put out these anthologies. And the whole point is all these fans who've been saying to me over the last couple of years that they really want to see more of what's going on with Rachel and her friends. And I have all these short stories I've already written. There's well over a dozen, getting towards 24, I think. I'm not sure exactly the number, but and you'd have to go buy like 12 or 20 different anthologies to read them all. So this is my attempt to
repackage.
Yeah, well, to thank the fans and give them something that they'd like to see a little back, because some of these stories take place during book 6, but I didn't put them in book 6 because they're their own story. I just a brief reference to them. Like the very unfair to the readers of book 6 reference that Ziggy ran into giants, that's just one sentence long. Well, there's a whole short story called The Unexpected Rescue of Siegfried Smith about what happened with Ziggy and the Giants that I think readers who like book 6 would really enjoy. But you'd have to have bought a particular anthology in order to see it. So this is a chance for them to get them all in one place.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I'm up to.
Yeah. Very cool. I like it. Yeah, I think that repackaging your stuff like that, making things that are difficult to access, or extraneous kind of work to access. You have to go and track down like 12 different anthologies stuff was released in over a decade or more. Yeah, grabbing it up and putting it out in one book's a good idea.
And some of them aren't even in print anymore. There's one or two that I wrote a while ago.
Yeah.
One of which I think I put available for free on one of my Substacks at one point. But, some of these were really cool stories. And some of them are about minor characters. Like one of them, the one that's been republished the most, no one reading it will know who it's about because the guy, it's about a minor character who's so different when he's at the school that people aren't going to recognize him. And I'm not going to say who it is because it kind of becomes important later that people don't know till it comes on stage. And one of them is about a character that won't even be introduced for a long time. But others are about, major characters, like some of the best friends of my main character. My main character is from Earth. She's actually 13 years old. She's not one of these people who've been brought and turned into a kid. But some of her closest friends are. And I think it's nice for people to know their background and what they're up to and stuff. So I'm looking forward to doing it. I have a cover picture for the first one that it's a picture my husband did because he does the illustrations that we reorganized, and Codex and Quizzer, I think it is, they did the Veg Folk that's on Ark Haven. It used to be called Churchians at one point. And at one point it was called Tempest in a Teardrop, I think. Anyway, she colored it for me. So she's offered to color a second picture of John. So the anthologies will have simple drawings that have been colored as their covers. They're, nothing super fancy, but they are pictures of things from the story. So I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, very cool. Heidi, what do you got? What have you been working on? Tell us about your progress. What are you doing?
Yes, my progress. I am going forward with getting the second book of Songless Saga out, which will be The Fort. And I'm considering, how much in advance do I market that? I already have the cover and I'm putting it into layout as I go. So I'm thinking I'll just maybe next week. My son goes back to school Sunday. He's leaving Sunday night. So I will be burying myself in all things I can from that point forward. So I'll be doing that. So I've been working on The Fort. I started another writing another book. I don't. It's in
when
the
do you
song.
think the fort will release before you start telling us about the next one? You never actually, we got that part. Yeah.
I could probably. I mean, I didn't want to put it out at the same time we put out the anthology, so I was going to look at the sort of the dates around that. I mean, I guess I could.
I mean,
Um,
I wouldn't if I were you. I mean,
yeah, I wasn't. I was thinking that was a bad idea, so I was sort of. I'm trying to balance it, like maybe a month apart between those two. You
yeah.
know.
I plan to put out a nonfiction paperback in November. We're targeting the first week of October, so I feel
Right.
like a month separation is like a reasonable amount of time.
Yeah.
For
So
that stuff.
it's either going to be September or November.
Nice.
I think is what I would do,
Yeah.
and so that was my thinking on that.
Do you think it's close enough right now to hit September? Because realistically, you've got like a just over a month right now.
Yeah, and I mean, and
I know you've been sitting on the cover for a long time.
Yeah,
I'm
I
glad
mean,
you finished editing, right?
Should I pop the cover out there? But I want to figure out exactly when. I said fall, so I'm thinking, like I said, next week I'll have a better feel for it.
Mm-hmm.
Right now, because we've got a lot of other things going on.
Yeah. No, this week's busy.
Yeah, it's busy, and last week was busy. We've had a lot of stuff. So
I was slamming yesterday until I lost power.
Yeah, I'm sorry. That's too bad. Would you guys have bad weather or something?
Yeah, it's just the storm rolled through. It's all good though. It came back on like 5 hours later.
Oh, 5 hours, man. See, yeah, my husband's from Illinois, so it's kind of hysterical. It's like, because we're in California, so when they say there's a storm coming in, he's like, he's got like, he's ready for us to like live off the grid for the next month, and I'm like, dude, this is California. It's not going to be that bad. I mean, and maybe if we had a really massive earthquake, but I mean, anyway, it's always amusing to me. So in some sense, the power was out for 5 hours. The only time the power's out here is when they turn it off on purpose. But I digress. Let me get back to the update. But no, so I mean, the past couple of weeks, I've had a lot of things. I won't go into it for everybody has to hear all of the drama. It's nothing. It's not people being bad. It's just life being what life is. So I've got the fort going. Next week, I'm going to start recording the house that Jack built for the audio.
There we go. That's what I'm waiting for.
I'm going to wait till he's, give me, I want to see my kid basically, because I'm not going to see him again probably till Thanksgiving if I'm lucky. So, I want to see my kid. So there's that. No. And so the fort, and that's the thing with the fort. I'm thinking, maybe the smart move is to keep it till November. Because one, obviously, I don't want it to click into the anthology, and the other thing is I don't or to distract from the anthology, and maybe it's smart to give it just another sort of just a little bit more time to get it, make sure that it's all good to go. But we'll see. I'll see what happens in August. I haven't quite decided.
Who's making all that racket?
I think is someone typing.
Sorry. I thought I was muted again.
Okay.
Sorry.
It's okay.
I will mute.
So there's that. So those two things. I mean, obviously, I could probably, maybe the better plan is to get the house that Jack built the audiobook out. I could do that pretty quick. That I could definitely get out by September. I don't see any problem with that. Thing's going to be about.
Yeah, that's literally a week project. That's a 1 week project.
And I've been saving it for August because I knew I needed something like that in August to do. So,
that whole thing is a 1 week project.
Yeah, you're right. You're absolutely right, and I know. And I save that stuff a little bit for a couple of reasons. One is sometimes I like to go back. I feel like the audiobook is sort of like the final say. So if there's something in it that I want to change, something like that. I give myself a little bit of time.
I'm 100% with you on that.
And so I wait a little bit before I do the audiobook just to make sure, because, someone will read it and they'll say, hey, there's this or something like that. And I'll be like, yeah. Or I'll go look at it and I'm like, yeah, I really want to change that. And I have made some.
You already did one scratch take of this book too.
I did. So the house that Jack built, the original, there's a different it's not, it isn't, I haven't changed the story per se, maybe just some of the wording, some, things like that once you do the audiobook, it's like you really don't want to go mess with it anymore. So that's one of the reasons I think I kind of wait a little bit. I'm not sure what I'm going to do with the fort. I'm almost thinking of kind of going along and sort of doing it sort of simultaneously with the layout, but I don't know if that will make me crazy or not.
Doing the audiobook recording with the layout?
Yeah.
Why though?
Chapter by chapter. I'm going to try it, and if it makes me nuts,
it'll
I won't.
Take you forever.
Maybe. We'll see.
For sure. If you could do the layout in a day.
Well, try it and see how it works. I mean, if it seems to you to be going well, then try it. If it frustrates you, then you can stop.
Yeah, but audiobook recording is like, for a book of 40 plus chapters, it's going to take you many, many weeks. Doing the layout,
it's 50.
Yeah, okay. Well, it's even longer. That doesn't mean you're going to be more efficient at it. I'm just saying, like, the layout and production of the paperback, that seems like that can just go out. And the audiobook production,
Well, it's part of
Heidi, do you mean that you want to kind of go over it and kind of copy edit it while you're doing because I know when my narrator reads my books, that's when I catch errors I hadn't caught before.
Yeah,
I wonder
that's what I'm going to do.
Oh yeah, I'm fully on board with that. That's what I do too.
Right.
That's what.
So that's
but I'm thinking if I can do it, if I'm thinking if I can do it clean enough, maybe I can kind of kill two birds with one stone. Let me see. In terms of layout, I'm really fast with layout. I could lay out that book in a day or two, and that's about 400 pages. That's not a big deal for me. I'm thinking I'm going to try this. I'm just going to try it. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work, but there's, you got to try.
No, I'm with you using it as an editing process for sure.
Yeah, I agree. Because the last thing you want to do is put it out and then read it and find some errors, and then you're stuck. It's really frustrating. I have a whole list of errors that I have to now go over and try to ask my typesetter to change for me,
It's easy to fix that stuff, though, if you're doing your own layout. It's a different story.
Yeah, well, yeah, and I mean, I'm kind of a one-stop shop. So, I mean, the thing is, so I'm going to try it, and I'm going to see. And I absolutely, when I was doing the audiobook for the desert.
Mute your mic.
Sorry.
It's all good. But when I was doing the audiobook for the desert, I swear the amount of stuff I caught that I mean, and you just said the same thing, Jaji. The amount of things that you catch is insane. So to me, it's a proofreading. It's proofreading. It's a very valuable proofreading is to record yourself reading. And I know from my own personal experience, if I'm not recording it, I will read out loud for about a minute and then I just go right into my head and I stop. So that's one of the reasons I do it. So I'm going to be doing it anyway. So I thought to myself, I've
been advocating for this for years. So I'm happy to hear you doing it because this is exactly what I do before I release everything.
I did it for the house that Jack built, but it's an imperfect recording because I basically so that helped as the editing process. It's just so imperfect. It's not worth editing.
I think you should have recorded that as the serious take while doing the editing simultaneously. I think that would have saved you a step.
It's, life is a learning process, right? So I'm going to try that now with the fort because I hear you, and I had
so
that
big
fail there. So, I mean, it's the, I wouldn't even call it a fail. I was practicing there. So now I know more of what I want to do and how I want to do it. So I'm going to give it a shot. We'll see what happens.
I don't think you have to do layout at the same time, but I think you can go through your whole manuscript with a comb as you're doing the audiobook production.
Yeah, well, I'm going to do it. For me, it's just visually, I want to see it in the pages because
Sure.
that's where I will catch it because I want to see it there. I want to catch those errors there. So that's why I'm going to be, but it's not, I mean, it's not, I don't find that daunting. It's not daunting to me.
No.
That part isn't daunting. The daunting part is getting the recording clean so that I'm, because it's like if there's too many mistakes,
It's a lot of work.
It's just not even worth keeping. It's like far too much effort in production. So my feeling is I'm not going to do the production that way. Hey, Nance, how are you, sweetie?
This is the suggestion I would make to you if you're going to do it this way for the book, is to rip the chapters in one single take and then as best as you can, and then edit that and make notes about where you need to fix lines, and then do punch-ins, do a day of punch-ins, because otherwise it is going to take you it's not like linear, like, oh, I'm editing the book and I'm also recording the audiobook. It's really like I'm compound interesting how difficult it is to both edit the book and to both produce the audiobook. So I just think, like, however much time you allot for either one of those, doing them at the same time, like a lot, even more than you would expect. I think it's a great undertaking and experiment to do.
I'm going to give it. I know. And it's so, I have a process in my mind. I'm pretty good with putting a process together. So I'm going to give it a shot and just go chapter by chapter as I'm putting the fort together. Hey, and I want to say this because Nance is here, the honey badger, if y'all. I'm writing another book and it got inspired. The whole concept of it, Nancy, was from a space we were in, talking about Fulton Sheen, I think, with purgatory. And how purgatory is really a place where God loves people and is giving them another chance. So the working title of this story, which will be in the Songless World that I've been working out, is I'm not going to use this title. I can't. It won't fit. But my background title is Purgatory: A Love Story.
Why doesn't that fit? That fits.
And I want you to know about it, Nance, because it was inspired by the whole Fulton Sheen stuff you guys are doing. So I'm going to throw that out there. That's the project I've started, and it's slow and it's painful, and it's just awesome. I love it.
Like, I'm putting everything else on the back burner for this now new project that I'm starting.
I'm not. Trust me, I'm not. I'm just, because it's slow going because I'm trying to find it.
Yeah.
And I'm starting to find it, but it's something I've had in my head for a very long time, for like over a year. I'll do that. I don't know if you guys do that too, where it's like, you don't?
No, for sure. Absolutely.
Oh yeah. Well, you, it's like the short story I wrote for the anthology we're going to put out. That was an idea that was floating around in the back of my head for like, gosh, I don't even know how many years, like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, I've had that happen.
And it's just, I just could never place it. And when the anthology came up, and that the concept of relics, right, that we've, the story, all the stories you center on a relic, it snapped into place. So
that happened to me. I think I've talked before. I had a story that came to me when I was praying in 2014, and I tried to write it several different ways. And when we did the Luna anthology, I found a way to do it. I actually used a character who was not related to the moon, but I changed it from my background to fit the moon for the anthology. I took one of the Roanoke characters and wrote up her background and to use his story. And I probably could rewrite the story 1 or 2 more times, keeping the same idea and approaching it from a different way, because, the idea is still one that I'm not sure I put across entirely. But it was really fun and nice to finally get a chance to have this idea that had been in my head all that time come out as an actual story. And it sounds like that's what happened to you.
Yeah, absolutely. That's kind of one of the cool things. It's like they percolate, right? It's like you've got them in the slow cooker or something, and they come up to the surface, hopefully at the right moment. It's because I remember it's either in, Say What You Will About Stephen King. I love that book he wrote on writing. He said something.
Like that too.
Yeah, and he said something in there that I thought was great, or maybe it was an interview or something. He said, someone asked him, "Do you keep a notebook of all your writing ideas?" And he said, "No, I don't, because that's a great place to land a bunch of crappy ideas. If it's a really good idea, it'll stay with you." And
That's interesting.
and I thought that was fascinating. And I kind of had to agree with that, because I've had ideas that have just stuck in my head for like decades. There's one I have that is stuck in my head for a very long time, and I haven't really used it yet. But I know that it's somehow going to pop in, because it's literally, I tried writing this book years ago, just like really when I was in my 20s. And I think I got about 100 pages in, and it just fizzled out. It just didn't go anywhere. And I'm kind of glad, because it's very silly. But that I never really finished it. But there was this one idea in it, this one sort of concept, that has always stuck with me. And I know I'm going to be able to, I'm not going to throw it out so much, because I know I'm going to be able to use it, and I don't want to like spoil it. It's kind of like making it on a birthday cake. I don't want to tell you what it is, so it doesn't come true, right? So, but it's like, I think ideas are like that. And I personally think he was right about that. I think that, I mean, maybe not for everybody, but for me, I think that makes perfect sense, because I can see the difference, because they just stay with you, like a memory. It's important to keep.
I will say something on both sides. On one side, I found often if I have a good idea, I almost can't even tell people about it, because if I go and tell people about it, the impetus to write it sometimes is now fulfilled. So sometimes I just have to keep it to myself until the pressure to want to put it down. But on the other hand, my husband does keep a notebook of story ideas, and he has, when he was asked to write a story for an anthology, pulled it out and written a story from it. So, so some people can make good use of such a thing, but I think a lot of it depends on whether, when you wrote it in the notebook, you wrote it just as a little line to remind it so it'd come to mind, or whether you wrote it out to the degree that you then would feel satisfied and it wouldn't stay with you, pushing you, which is what we want.
Yeah, I mean, and this is just the opposite. It's funny when you said that, wrote it down. This is just the opposite of those great sentences that come to you at 3:00 in the morning.
Yes.
The ones where you're like, you suddenly wake up at 3 a.m. and the most beautiful sentence the English language will ever hear is suddenly in your head. And, and if you don't write it down, it's, and it's always gone. It's always like, oh, I'll write it down. I'll have it in the morning. I could never, you always forget.
Yeah.
That's like the polar opposite of this, right? There's an idea and a particular sentence that, I don't know.
Yeah.
Allow me to transition the conversation a little to Robin, who's been patiently hanging out with us. Maybe you'd like to give us some updates on your projects, or any follow-up to the announcements you made last time we were in here.
It's good to hear everybody else's progress as well. I have 3 things going. Update to my last update was very happily going to be finished with the back cover of my book, the blurb for the back cover of my book. I've submitted suggestions to the people who are doing cover art for my book. And so all of that is going to be done by this week. And my editor will then start editing my manuscript in August. So it looks like the publication of my book is on track for end of 2026, beginning of 2027. They're moving quite fast. So far I've been very happy, with their communication style, with everything. So that's number one. Oh, and Michael, you were talking a lot about Claude. I was actually very pleased today with ChatGPT when I I don't ever ask ChatGPT for content, but I put my content in about the one sentence pitch for my book, because they need a one sentence pitch and they need sort of a phrase for the back of the book as well as a blurb. And I got some really good suggestions on how to revise that. So that's how ChatGPT helped me today. And then my other book, I finished the major edits. That's my horror novella. And I think I'm going to be done with the next and final draft probably October, November. And then I have a new project. I've been thinking about a third book, which is sort of a psychological mystery. And I'm probably going to start actually writing that in 2027. So everything is sort of going along well. I'm very happy right now. And yeah, and also I get a lot out of talking to you guys about what you're doing, because I hear the differences and also the similarities as somebody who now has a publisher for the book. So thank you.
I'm glad to hear you're putting Claude to work in the ways you
ChatGPT.
Well, it's all the same.
Yeah,
whatever. Any of the platforms, I think at this point, are mostly, at least for these kind of purposes, going to give you relatively like predictable and standard results as long as you prompt them well enough. But yeah, also starting a third book, you're getting sunk into it, you're getting sucked into it, deluded by the dreams of publishers and agents making big promises and shady alleyways.
Now, wait, did you say diluted or diluted? Which one? Or both?
Diluted, I think, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they're waving all the big New York publishing house money in front of you.
Oh, yeah, millions. Oh, billions. Yeah, I have $1 billion advance. Yeah, right.
No, I'm teasing.
No,
I'm
just, for me, it's the right choice having a small press. I'm very, very happy. It seems just to fit in with my mentality, with the book and everything that I'm doing. Will I self-publish Sal Grundy? The second book, maybe. I will see. There's going to be a long learning curve. I need to do a lot with marketing. So I'll be very busy with my marketing of the first book.
It was a long road for the first book, and you ended up getting exactly where you wanted to with it. And I think that like putting it out with the publisher and seeing their cycle of things and maybe giving yourself a little bit of buffer space before making an agreement with them for another book and kind of saying like, okay, well, it's cool. We're going to work together and like, let's see what they can do for you, as opposed to saying, well, I'll give you more stuff. And it turns out basically both ways. If you work with them or if you do it on your own, if the marketing help from them isn't there, or if they can't necessarily open up kind of networking channels for promotion and stuff like that build momentum for you, then what's it there for? But if it does, then it's like, awesome, this is a super great relationship. And then give them maybe that other manuscript, or you say like, hey, I'm working on this third book now. Maybe this is a good follow-up or a good fit genre-wise, or whatever their kind of opinion of how you fit into their stable of authors is. I don't want to seem, anti-publisher. There certainly are good companies that are like making a great effort for their authors and putting together collections of works that otherwise, wouldn't wouldn't find the sort of support from a team that can move eyeballs towards it. Plainly, there's lots of like indie publishing houses operating in the similar kind of trenches as the one that you're talking about, Robin, you know, that are out there doing stuff. And like, you have to test the waters with any of them, or even one of them to start out and see kind of how their system works, or if, you know, their system works for you, or, you know, if the relationship is good and symbiotic the way that both parties want it to be. But you have to try it first.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, things look good. You know, I won't go into detail, but they have a lot of marketing help that they offer, and they encourage the authors to speak to each other and give help as well. So
that's cool.
It seems good. Yeah.
Yeah. You have to keep us posted on that, because I feel like you said 2027, but that'll come quick, you know, that, and it could change, right?
I'm guessing it could be 2026. They're moving awfully fast.
Yeah.
You know, so we'll see. It may be at the end of this year, maybe 2027. It's certainly not going to be any longer than that. They sort of guaranteed we're going to get your book out as quick as we can. So
yeah,
I'm happy about that. Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. And it's good to watch the outcome, because it's been basically, I don't know, 2+ years, I think we've been watching.
I started in 2021.
Okay. So, well, since that I've known you, you know, it's been like 2 years. So while you might have started the book earlier than that, my familiarity with the project only goes back as far as my familiarity with you.
Correct.
And, you know, yeah, like the same thing goes. Like, I don't have a novel under my belt. You know, I have a novella idea right now, that I haven't started working on, but I would like to at some point, if I can somehow fit it into my schedule of stuff. It's kind of like a kernel of an idea that, like what you guys were talking about, like has just stayed with me, and I continue to revisit it, and it comes back up. It's hard to keep down in that sense. So maybe I'll try and write that. I don't know when that'll happen, but I don't know if I ever put any notes down for it yet, even. Sorry, I was typing. I had to get back into the computer since we're recording. Yeah, we've got a couple of minutes left. So if anybody would like to talk about a project or anything else, you know, we've got a little bit of time left.
I'll say something. Judge, I was reading your interview about I you didn't tell me this, but the Regency romance you're working on is set in your Rachel Griffith world.
Yes.
I was like, well, that's really cool.
Yeah,
I like that. I thought we were just because I do that too, and it encourages me to see other people sort of you create this world, and you want to keep creating in this world. I think that's sort of an interesting thing to do.
And there are elements, like in the first one, there is part of the plot involves King Arthur's crown and control of the wards of England. And I mean, it's a romance, but there's also a little bit of a mystery plot in the background. So that will come up again in Rachel's time, which is one of the reasons I'm trying to do these first, because there's certain things that are established in these books that will come back up and be important by the time I get to Rachel's junior year. So that's one reason why I'm doing them now.
Well, I mean, obviously, you know, I sort of do that. So I find it really interesting that we both. Well, I mean, I didn't know you were doing it until I just read that. So it's like I find it interesting that we're both like doing that, creating these sort of, you know, over 100 years for the story, because like the short story I'll have in the anthology takes place like 100 years before the events at the beginning of song. So I mean, it's interesting to me that we're both hitting on that. And I don't know, we all just read too much Tolkien. Is that,
one of the fun things about it is that the cutoff date where Christianity, God, angels, Jesus, the whole thing was removed from the world is, I think, 1710. So this takes place after that. So this story takes place in a period where, everybody's worshiping Greek and Roman gods, but because of the magic of the background, the world is maintained a lot like ours. So everything that's not particularly different, I'm trying to make historically correct. But the result is that there's all this stealth Christianity because, if you speak too openly about Christianity, you get your mind wiped. People are still spreading it around quietly. So both of my main characters meet St. Peter and get told secrets that most other people don't know. So they have this romance, and it's a romance with all the normal romance things, but it has this little stealth Christianity thing going on where people are secretly praying for each other. And it makes it really cool. It wasn't something that I realized when I started out would be there because I hadn't really thought through what the state of the hidden things were at that time. But it adds a nice little dimension to the story that I think is cool without taking away from it too much.
Yeah, I don't know how well I'm assuming you probably know it pretty well, the original Star Trek. Do you remember the episode? And it's funny, they didn't used to show it a lot, but there's an episode, I can't remember the name of it, because I used to be so into it that I knew all the names of all the shows. But it's
Me too. I used to get paid for knowing which show it was. I don't know if you know that they didn't actually copyright the first 2 years. And my father used to distribute them because he distributed movies to TV until Paramount just declared that they were going to sue anybody who used them, even though they didn't technically own them. But during the period before that, my dad would pay me for working for him. I got $2 an hour, but if it was a Star Trek matter, I got $10 an hour because I was an expert. And one thing I had to do was identify what the name of the episode was, so he could know which one he needed to move around and stuff. So which episode? The one with Apollo?
No, the one where they go to a world and Rome it's a copy of Earth.
Oh, yes.
Still in charge. And Uhura's sitting there going, they keep talking about these people, this fringe group that's worshiping the sun, and they finally at the end realize it's Jesus.
Yeah, I thought that was cool. I think that's Brendan Circus's.
Yeah, that is Brendan. That's it.
Yeah. Which I had to look up because it's been a long time. I don't have them all in my mind anymore. I remember that. That was cool. Anyway, it's
some of them stick out more than others.
Yeah.
But anyway, on that nerdy as all hell note.
Impressive all the same, Hey, nice discussion. Yeah. Well-rounded. Tuesday, Heidi will be hosting. She'll be back at it. We will meet Thursday to figure out a topic. I think we have some around, but we worked through what we had prepared. So we'll figure that out on Thursday. Probably talk about the anthology a little bit. I know you guys are trying to get a few things done by then. And then I got to do some other things over the weekend once you guys finish that stuff up. So hopefully we'll be making a public announcement statement on that real soon.
So Jaji won't be here, so we'll have to get a topic.
Oh, that's easy. That's fine.
Oh, you're not going to make it next week, right, Jaji?
Yeah, probably not. I mean, I'm going to be on Chincoteague, and the connection there is often not good. So even if I tried to call in, it might not work.
Go to the cafe.
Enjoy it. Take a week off.
Just for an hour, just go to the cafe and tap into the Wi-Fi.
Michael's like, no, log in. I'm like, take a week off.
I'm just messing with you. Go relax and hang out.
There's places with Wi-Fi, but I also don't necessarily know where we're going to be any given day, and whether or not we're going to have the God grandkids with us and things like that. So
sure, yeah. No, don't even sweat it. Like it's not even. I'm just heckling you.
Yeah, don't. It's fine. You're good.
Yeah. Well, I look forward to seeing you guys the next week. So
yeah. All right. Well,
and if I may, if we're not packing like mad rabid raccoons, I will call it on Thursday.
Okay, yeah, maybe if I don't know if there's any anthology questions, but
yeah. So we can talk. Yeah, we can still talk about that stuff.
Oh, you already got your stuff done, is what you were saying earlier.
Yes. My part is done.
It's on me. I got to get to work,
right.
and
so
gotta,
Heidi has to get everything done and then report into me on Thursday.
Right, exactly.
Reporting to you.
It's good to see everybody and to hear from you guys. Hear what you guys are up to.
Report in, so I can get my paycheck, right?
All right, guys. Good talking to you.
No, you guys
take care.
You guys
have a lovely trip, Dodgy. Enjoy Chincoteague.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I will.
Okay.
Bye.
Be good.
All right.
This has gone well, and we will talk again before too long.